Have you ever felt the weight of an invisible leash around your neck, tightening every time you smile when you don't mean it, nod when you disagree, or swallow your truth to keep the air sweet with approval? You were taught to be good, good as in quiet, good as in convenient, good as in whatever they needed you to be. But here's the haunting truth. Goodness, when worn as armor, becomes the very thing that suffocates your soul. Carl Jung saw this. The way we bury ourselves alive under the dirt of others' expectations, mistaking the prison of their approval for a home. Think of the last time you said yes when your entire body screamed no. Recall the hollowness that followed, the way it echoed in your chest like a door slamming shut on some vital, unnamed part of you. That hollowness is not an accident. It is the toll paid to a phantom ruler, the tyrant of likability. And here's the cruel joke. The more you feed it, the hungrier it grows. You were never meant to live as a reflection, a flickering shadow bending to every passing light. You were meant to be the light itself. Jung called this the persona, the mask we craft to navigate the world, smooth and polished, a masterpiece of social survival. But masks, no matter how exquisite, are not faces. And when we forget to take them off, we forget ourselves. The tragedy is not that we wear them, but that we become them, until one day we wake up and can't remember the sound of our own voice beneath the chorus of everyone else's desires. This is the silent epidemic of the people-pleaser. A life lived in the anteroom of your own existence, always waiting for permission to enter. But what if the door was never locked? What if the chains were only ever held in place by your own hands? Jung's work whispers a liberating heresy. You do not have to earn the right to exist as you are. The path to freedom begins when you dare to ask, who would I be if I stopped performing? At the heart of Jung's exploration of people-pleasing lies a paradox. The more we seek to belong by shaping ourselves to others' desires, the more we exile our true selves into the shadows. This is not merely a social habit but a profound psychological surrender, a trade of sovereignty for safety. Jung's concept of the shadow is crucial here. The repressed, unacknowledged parts of ourselves we disown to maintain the persona's pristine image. Every suppressed no, every stifled impulse, every swallowed truth doesn't vanish. It festers in the dark, growing heavier until it distorts our relationships, our choices, even our sense of reality. The people-pleaser doesn't just fear rejection. They fear the monstrous, uncontainable self that might emerge if they ever stopped performing. This fear is not baseless. Society rewards the agreeable, the adaptable, the ones who make life easier for others. But Jung's work reveals the Faustian bargain hidden beneath this reward system. The more adept you become at mirroring expectations, the more alien you grow to your own instincts. The persona, initially a tool for connection, hardens into a cage. You become a guest in your own life, deferring to others' comfort while your unmet longings whisper through dreams, irritability, or a gnawing sense of emptiness. Jung called this psychic fragmentation, the splintering of the self that occurs when we prioritize harmony outside over truth within. Yet there is another force at work, what Jung termed the self, the totality of who we are, both light and shadow. The self doesn't seek approval, it seeks wholeness. And wholeness demands confrontation. It asks us to tolerate the temporary earthquake of setting boundaries, of disappointing others, of finally speaking in a voice that doesn't tremble with apology. This is the reckoning. The moment we realize that love earned through self-betrayal is not love at all, but a transaction where we are both the purchaser and the currency. The core of Jung's teaching here is alchemical, the transformation of leaden compliance into golden authenticity. It begins with a question that unravels the entire masquerade. What do I lose when I make myself small? The answer is never just pride or time. It's the irreplaceable essence of your one wild life. There is an old tale about a village where every inhabitant wore masks carved from the bark of a sacred tree. These masks were not mere adornments. They were alive, growing roots into the wearer's skin, feeding on their silence. The villagers believed the masks granted them belonging, for the faces beneath were never seen, never judged. But over time, the roots thickened, and the villagers forgot they could remove them. One day, a stranger arrived, maskless, their face raw with expression. The villagers recoiled, whispering of madness, but the stranger simply knelt by the river and wept, not from pain, but from the unbearable weight of their own truth. The water reflected back not a mask, but a self so vast it terrified them. This is the paradox Jung unveils. We cling to our personas, not because they protect us, but because we fear what we might discover in their absence. Jung's psychology is steeped in such mythic undercurrents. He understood that the people-pleaser is not just avoiding conflict but enacting an ancient, archetypal drama. The martyr who sacrifices themselves to sustain the illusion of harmony. In dreams, these dynamics often manifest as cages of gold, doors with no handles, or mirrors that reflect everyone but the dreamer. These symbols are not accidents. They are the psyche's rebellion against the tyranny of should. When a client once told Jung of her recurring dream of suffocating in a room where the walls slowly contracted, he recognized it immediately, the prison of her own niceness. Her unconscious was screaming what her waking self dared not admit, that every suppressed desire, every unspoken no, was collapsing her world. The shadow, in these narratives, is not a villain but a liberator. Consider the biblical story of Jacob wrestling the angel, a metaphor Jung frequently invoked. The struggle leaves Jacob wounded but also renamed, reborn as Israel, one who contends with God. The people-pleaser's shadow is that angel, terrifying in its demand for confrontation, yet offering the very initiation required to reclaim one's name. To stop pleasing is not to become cruel, it is to become real. And reality, as Jung knew, is the only ground where authentic connection can grow. The journey from compulsive people-pleasing to authentic being is not a single declaration but a daily practice, a realignment of the soul's compass toward true north. Jung insisted that the unconscious speaks first through the body. The clenched jaw when you agree against your will, the exhaustion after hours of performing, the quiet rage that surfaces as passive aggression. These are not flaws but signposts. Begin by interrogating them. When your throat tightens at a request, pause. Ask, what would I do if I weren't afraid of their disappointment? The answer may terrify you, but therein lies the threshold of your freedom. Start small. Say, I need to think about it instead of automatic assent. Notice who reacts with irritation. Their discomfort is not proof of your failure but evidence of their investment in your compliance. In the real world, this work demands ruthless discernment. You will be called selfish, cold, not the person I knew. Recognize this as the death rattle of the old dynamic. True belonging cannot be purchased with self-abandonment. A client once confessed to Jung that she feared setting boundaries would leave her utterly alone. His response was incendiary in its simplicity. Better an authentic solitude than a counterfeit connection. The people who matter, those capable of genuine love, will adjust. The rest were only ever loving your performance. This is the alchemy Jung envisioned, transforming the lead of approval-seeking into the gold of self-possession. Yet the implications ripple beyond the personal. Every recovered no clears space for a more vital yes. Every reclaimed desire becomes a compass point for others still lost in the masquerade. History's most transformative figures, artists, activists, healers, were not those who clung to likability but those who dared to disrupt. Your liberation is not selfish. It is a revolt against a system that profits from your self-erasure. The world does not need more agreeable ghosts. It needs your unedited humanity, rough edges, shadows, and all. There is a moment in every life when the mask cracks, when the cost of performing becomes heavier than the fear of being seen. That moment is not an ending but a birth. Jung's legacy is an invitation to stop kneeling at the altar of others' expectations and instead kneel in the raw soil of your own becoming. This is not a path of certainty but of fidelity, to the voice beneath the voices, the self beneath the selves. The call is simple but radical. Let them misunderstand you. Let them whisper. While they clutch their masks, you will be learning the language of your own hands, your own breath, your own ungovernable heart. The prison of pleasing was never locked. You were always the key.